What's up, all my plant lovers? I'm Devin Wallien, and in this video I want to show you guys how to get a really easy drip irrigation system up and running in your garden. This took me about 1 hour to set up. I set it up all on my own. If you have someone to help you, it would take as little as like 20 minutes, I would say. And it cost me about $125 in total. And so with this video, you should know everything that you need to know and how to get yours up and going quickly so that you can give your plants the water that they need. As a reminder, photosynthesis requires water. It's a combination of water in the soil with carbon dioxide in the air. When that's combined with the sun's energy, that's how plants actually create food that allows them to grow. So without sufficient water, your plants will definitely not grow like they could, all right? So as you can see behind me, this garden bed is pretty empty. This is a great time to put in a drip irrigation system, but you can also add one into a very already established garden bed as well. So it's really up to you, any garden bed that you want to do. Now, the first thing you'll notice is that I have a splitter on my spigot. I think that's really nice to have, starting with that. So then you have an empty space in case you do want to do some manual watering, some additional watering of containers or what have you. So I start with a splitter. And then the next thing is your timer. An automatic timer I think is great. You can do I prefer these digital ones just because they're really easy to set and to change. This setup is like literally 30 seconds for this guy. And before I connected it, I did put some plumber's tape around the splitter because you don't want to have any sort of dripping happening right here. That is not going to be good for your system. And then you can see that there is a filter in the top of this timer, so that's really good in case, I use well water. If you have any sediment, the filter will catch any sediment, so that's really important to have. You don't want that to clog up. And then at the bottom of the timer is a location for a hose, but we're not using a hose, obviously, we're using our drip tubes. So you have to have a hose converter, which is really easy. The hose converter looks something like this. You're going to screw that in to the bottom of the timer, but before you screw that in, we're going to take this green part off. You see it has that nice little attachment right there. And what we're going to do, we're going to take our drip line. This is a 1/4 inch drip line, and it has the drip holes every 6 inches, which I think is really nice. It's a good distance. Further than that, you're going to be missing out on a lot of area in your garden beds. Then you take your little green thing, you just put it in just like that. And from here, we're gonna connect it like this, nice and flush. And then we're gonna screw this on, and that's gonna hold this in place. Now we're gonna connect this to our timer on that hose attachment. So now is the part where it's best to have a friend, because unraveling those drip tubes can be kind of annoying to do on your own. Now we're going to actually lay our drip tubes around our garden beds. We're gonna get as close to the base of our plants as possible that we want to really irrigate. So you can actually you can circle around plants that are especially water loving plants. Other plants that are less water loving, you can just pass right by the base of it on one side and that should be enough. It's really just dependent on what you're growing and how much water you want to send to them. But also you have to remember, with our timer, we can set the timer to however long we want it to be providing water. So it's very variable. It's really up to you. When we're typically starting, I like to suggest about a 1 hour's time of your drip system being on for 1 hour, either every day or every other day, depending on how hot, how sunny of a garden bed it is. All the different climatic factors, seasonal factors should be thought about when we are choosing how much water to actually supply our plants. So once you have it along the base of your flower bed, you need to find a way to kind of stake the tubing onto the surface of the ground. So what I actually did was I had bought some of this copper wiring, this copper gauge wiring, because I wanted to try out the electroculture, which is using copper in your garden beds. There's so much rage over that lately in the garden world. So I bought this, but I never did anything with it. So it actually was very handy because I will just cut sections that are about 8 inches, and then I will turn it into like an upside down U, and then I will stake the drip tube into the ground with this wire, and who knows, maybe the copper will also give it a little bit extra benefit, and it definitely holds that tube on the ground, which is what we want. We don't want the tubing to be elevated, because then there will be extra water loss, and the whole idea of using this drip irrigation is that water is conserved as maximally as possible. We don't want unnecessary evaporation to occur. So as you can see, I'm laying my drip line in a pretty large area. I started off with a 100-foot tube, but that was not enough. So I need some of these little connectors, which look just like this. It's very similar to the converter that we had earlier. And just like earlier, I'm going to be attaching it with the green part first. And then I will plug this in, screw it back on. And now I can connect this to the pre-existing drip line to add in some additional sections of my tubing. Now the great thing about this tubing is that it's very malleable, in the sense that you can cut off sections, and if you want to do like a T, there's actually these sort of connectors that are in different shapes, like a T connector that you could put at the end of one, and then do like a T out to the side, or even like a cross where you can do T's out to the side and then keep going in one direction. So it's really up to you. I'll put some links in the description below so that you can choose whichever ones you want. You can also just get a variety pack of these different sort of connectors, and that will allow you to really decide when the time comes. It's really what you'll find is that as you're actually doing it, you will determine in the moment how you want to actually lay the drip tubing in your garden bed. So as you can see, you can just take your hand shears and just cut it just like that, and then you'll add in your connector, and then you can go to a different side or however way you want. So you may find some areas that have a little bit of extra slack. Assuming you've already put your copper pieces or your stakes into the ground on each side, you can just gently pull it, sort of like pulling it from this side, putting in another stake, and then pulling it from the other side as well, and then it should be much more close to the ground by doing that. Much better. So if you're putting your drip line in a new bed like I am, now that you have your drip line all laid out in the bed, now you can go ahead and plant all of your new plants. You can plant them as close as about 1 to 2 inches away from that drip line, and that's going to be perfect. And the final step, if you want to or not, you can go ahead and put some mulch right on top of those drip lines. It's not going to be detrimental to their efficacy, and then it can also be nice to hide the drip lines if you want. 2 to 3 inch layer will be fine. On the flip side, if you don't cover them with mulch, that's not going to be a huge deal either. So it's really up to you. So I know setting up your own drip irrigation system might sound a little bit daunting, but it's really not. It's really easy. Everything that I've used in this video, you can find links to in the description below, so that you can follow my exact plan so that you can get your own drip irrigation set up in your garden in a really fast and inexpensive manner. I hope you found this video helpful. If you did, consider giving it a like, subscribe to our channel as well. We're bringing new plant-related content all about maintaining plants, enjoying Mother Nature, everything related to plant life. Thanks for joining me here on Plant Vibrations. I'll catch you soon. Ciao.